Hi, welcome back to the Mommentators. Today's topic, we're talking about how to deal with differences in parenting styles. What do you do if you really ideologically disagree with what your husband or your partner is telling you about how to raise your kids? Do you talk about it? How do you deal with it?
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
And
it's tough when it comes up in front of the kids. You know, if you're sort of like, hey, blah, blah, blah to your child, and then, you know, your partner is like, don't say that. And you say, why don't I say that? But, you know, and you have to, I do think you have to talk about it. I mean, hopefully you're in a relationship that has the openness to talk about it and find some kind of a middle ground.
Yeah.
But I think the tricky thing is when things come up in front of the kids. How to handle it, because you want to present a united front, and you don't always feel that way, or you need to like work on it to get to the united front. You know,
we have the same problem because I'm very particular. I know that's shocking to all of you, but I'm very particular.
You're so sweet.
And my husband and I decided on the big things. Like, we don't believe, neither of us wanted to spank, neither of us want to like deprive. You know, you're going to bed without your breakfast or lunch. That'd be awkward. But without food, you know, we don't want to deprive him of those kinds of things. And then
for punishment.
Correct,
right,
for punishment. But after that, we kind of have ground rules. And for a while, I was trying to get him to parent my way. And then one day I just took a step back and realized you have your own way of doing this. And as long as so for our family, we set the basics. Here's what we aren't going to do, and here's how we're going to react. And then he's kind of sterner than I am, but he's always
Does that make you
cool.
uncomfortable?
No, because he's very cool about it. Like,
Okay.
I love that even temper, and I'll tell you about that.
He's just like, okay, you've done something wrong, and now and he's very calm about it. I would probably allow it to go on a little bit more and discuss it with him and be like, okay, Alexander, you know not to do this. You know not to do, you know what? Oh, there's one, there's two. But Adam is like, don't do that. It happens again. And he's like, okay, it's time for time. He's very cool. I kind of get a little bit more frustrated. And then I'm like, okay, it's time for a timeout. You know what I mean? But I was trying to get him to be more cajoling and easier on him. And then I realized it's not that big of a deal. He knows the guidelines. Our son knows these guidelines. He's not, we agree on the big things. It's okay for us to have a different way to do it.
Well, and it doesn't sound so different that, you know, you have slightly different styles, slightly different personalities, but it's not so different that you're sending different messages to your child.
We had to agree on the big things.
You have to have a similar message. Lynette, how do you?
It's sort of similar to Andrea, but in my house, me and my husband, we premeditated or we pre-planned who would be the disciplinarian and who wouldn't. By nature, I'm a lot more aggressive than my husband, and there's a lot more fire. My husband's very cool, laid back, chill kind of guy.
Seems to be a theme here with
well, and so in my house, we premeditated that. You know, my husband's the head of my home, just to make it clear. And so
what?
Well, I don't have any problems with saying that. My husband.
What do you mean by head of your home?
Meaning he sets the pace, he sets the tone, and I respect that. And for me, being the strong type of person I am, I need someone that steps up and takes authority. So he's the disciplinarian, which I'm so shocked by because I thought I would be the one to, you know, but I kind of let him take the lead in that respect, and it works for us. It works for us because there's no clash. So, and and our daughter responds to him a lot different than I. I do the social activities, and, I keep her little life in order, planning those activities, but as far as discipline, I let him handle that, and it works.
Well, what if you're alone with her?
Like yesterday, we were at Applebee's, and she was standing up in the seat. I said, okay, wait till we get home. I'm going to talk to your dad. And she sat straight down in her seat. And because there's no conflicting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I said, I'm going to talk to your dad. Wait till I talk to your dad. And she sat right down in that seat. And I think that because when we're in front of her, we don't disagree, and we don't have conflicting ideas, it works for us. Now, I don't know what it's going to be like when we get the boy, but for right now, for her, because I let him set the tone, and it works for me too. I do enough of everything else. I don't want to have to be worried about that part.
It's very interesting to hear that, only because my kids would never, if I'm like, you just wait until I call daddy or you see daddy, they'll be like, because my husband is fun daddy. So he works so many hours. He travels so much. They only see him really on the weekends, and when he's home, he is not disciplining. It is fun daddy all the time. So they would laugh at me if I said that. So what my husband would have to say is, if he had to discipline, would be like, do you want me to get mommy? I mean, it's the opposite for us. You say your husband's the head of your house. I mean, I would say that my husband and I, like, no one's the head of the house. I just run the house. I'm in charge. No.
Yeah.
I mean, no, because I have to. I'm there. I'm taking
Right.
care of, I'm getting my kids ready for school in the morning. I'm doing all the homework with them. I'm taking care of the household chores. I'm doing everything. I'm planning all the schedules, the social calendar, all on me.
Well, then
and
in
all
that
the birthday
case, it would make
parties.
sense for you because
I have
you're
to
carrying the
discipline.
load.
Yes.
I think that it's important too for parents when they decide to parent to decide if they're going to co-parent and be in it together. Because I think that sometimes because sometimes women can be bossy and controlling. The man wants to be more of a part of the home life and the disciplining, but sometimes women are so bossy and controlling when the baby is born and setting the pace that they don't allow the man to
But
be
the
hands-on.
man,
Yeah,
the man
it's
needs to be
tricky.
actually physically around.
Right.
But I would say that my husband and I really do have a very equal relationship in terms of co-parenting, in terms of both running our household, and there's certainly a division of labor, but there's no division of power in any way, and we both interact with our children very much in the same way. And I feel very strong, like I personally don't, I feel very strongly about not having very traditional gender roles in our marriage and our relationship, and I want to teach my children that. But it really came as a surprise to me when my first son was born, and then again with my second son, how specific it is to be the mom in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that it takes a while before you can really share the parenting. The children have to really kind of develop, because there's this, just last night, in the middle of the night, like both boys were awake and crying, and they only wanted me. And that's
Well, it comes down to who had the
and it's
milk.
frustrating to me
Who had the
and
food?
frustrating to him, because I want help and he wants to help. It's not like he's not there.
My
And
husband
it's
used to
still,
get up in the middle of the night to help out a little bit, but in the end, he would have to pass the baby to me because I had the milk and I had the,
But
I
I'm
had
not
the
breastfeeding
comfort.
anymore,
But even
and,
even
But I think they're trained that because you are providing and everything like that, and he does go off to work, then it is the automatic for the first while for the child to want the mom, because that's where the comfort
well,
is.
that's all I know. But like, if there are a lot of women who go back to work full time after like a 3-month maternity leave. I didn't do that.
Right.
So I wonder what that's, I think all of us spend a good amount of time with our children. We're not full time. I'm not a full-time stay-at-home mom, but I'm not a full-time working
We're
mom
straddling
either.
both worlds.
Yeah. So I think that's, I think it's different all the time, but I do think that, for my husband and I, we get along so well. Like when I met him, I couldn't believe how well we got along. Like we're really similar, we get along great. Like I realized by the time we were on our third date that we were gonna get married and everything was gonna be fantastic, and it really is. So it's so rare actually that we do disagree, that when we do, it's sort of like,
What's wrong with you?
Wait, but we agree. Like, and so it's easy for us to get to a place of agreement. But it's amazing how many things come up that surprise you that you can be on a different page, and you feel strongly because it's your child.
I find it interesting that when I said my husband was the head, that you all responded that way. But there's also correlation because you all were saying that your children are inclined to want you more. I think that because I allow my husband to have that space with our little girl, it's balanced in that way. Like he plays with her a lot, and he gives her that 100%. So even if I'm not there, the discipline still goes smooth. And I think that because I allowed him in the beginning to play a part, that him taking the head as a disciplinarian is not really a big issue because she's receptive to it. I think it's problematic when the mom just has the child a lot in the beginning.
No, I wouldn't say that.
And then wants the father to come in. Because I've seen that a lot. A lot of moms like, oh, my husband's not helping me. But initially when you watch moms, they are kind of territorial over the babies.
Yeah.
I think it's important from the beginning to delineate.
It's very hard,
who's gonna do, how it's gonna flow and how it's gonna work out.
It's very hard. I do remember, it feels like ages ago, but I do remember when my daughter was first born, like over 8 years ago, and I remember feeling very much like I wanted to control the whole situation.
Yeah. A lot of
I would
moms
write
do
him
that.
notes out. If I left the house for an hour, I'd be like, in 2 minutes, she's
A
gonna
lot
have
of
to go
moms
down
do,
for a
yeah.
nap, and only because I was very nervous and I was very insecure about my own parenting because I was new at it and I was scared, and I thought, how would he know if I don't even know? So the good thing is that we don't, even though he's not, he works a lot and, he's not around a ton of the time, but when he is, he's very easygoing and he trusts me, and I think we do have similar parenting styles, and I think we come from similar families. So I think that, we don't really disagree on how to parent. That's never been an issue. It's more about like sometimes I would like him to just parent more, which I've discussed it with him, you know, and he gets it. It's just hard. It doesn't come naturally to him to just step in and do things, but he does things his own way sometimes. Like he'll watch 3 movies in a row with my kids, and I do not like that. That's too much screen time, which is another topic we talked about.
This is another controversial
but
topic.
like,
yeah.
you know, and to him, that is bonding time. He is laying with them. He's sitting with them. They're watching a movie together. They're
Right.
crying together. They're laughing together. And to me, it's like, get outside and kick a ball.
Okay,
That's
so what
kind of
happens?
their time together.
And that's a beautiful thing too. It is. But what happens when your child is doing something disrespectful and both of you are in the room and you're looking at him like, okay, you see this child being disrespectful, what do you do? Like how do you work at that type of situation? You know?
We share it. Like
Yeah,
it's sometimes it's me and sometimes it's my husband
Yeah.
and
If Xander's being disrespectful to me, Adam takes it. He's like, oh, no, no, no. If he's being disrespectful to Adam, I'll usually take it and be like, oh, no, 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 no. We don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
we'll sometimes both do it, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if he'll say something, you know, to my son, if he's doing something he's not supposed to do, and I'll say, that's right, you know? Like I want them to really
Even when
hear
I
it from both of
disagree
us.
with Adam, if it's a minor thing, like if it's minor, I will agree with him in front of
It's
Xander.
very important
and
to
then
do that. Yeah.
take it to another room and say,
Yeah.
okay, I felt a little uncomfortable with this, so can we get together at another, if it's not detrimental.
So I think that, you know, it really is important, and talking about this, you know, we may have different ideas on how to deal with differences in parenting, but I think the truth is that, like, you know, communicating appropriately with your partner is super important, and to make sure that maybe you should have a discussion about
Understanding.
and an understanding and how are we going to discipline and how are we going to deal with this, because the truth is you're in it together. So you have to make it work right for your family. So thanks again for watching. We'll have more topics to come, so stay tuned, subscribe, and come back to the Mommentators. Thanks so much for watching.